By the way, NVIDIA is going to open at an all-time high. Part of that is because he is on the trip. The president arriving in Beijing more than an hour ago ahead of his summit with President Xi. Our Eamon Javers is in the Chinese capital with the latest. Evening, Eamon.
Yeah, good evening to you, Carl. We did see Jensen Huang and Elon Musk getting off of Air Force One along with the president. There's a long list, as Sarah was just saying, there's a long list of other CEOs who will be attending this, including, as the president posted on social media, Tim Apple of Apple, and a whole list of others, the CEO of Goldman Sachs and other influential CEOs, all traveling. We presume they're all traveling on their own airplanes. You know, the invitations for this, there's been a lot made here of just sort of the protocol and the nuance of who got invited and when they got invited and who got on the plane. What we know is that there were two CEOs and only two CEOs on Air Force One. The others were taking their own flights to Beijing. I talked to a number of folks who are very familiar with the CEOs' schedules late last week. And I was told that none of the CEOs had been invited as of late last week, or not very many of them. So invitations for this trip went out very late from the White House's side. I was told that CEOs had their airplanes gassed and ready to go. If they were invited, they were prepared to jump on planes and go, and they had kept holes in their schedule, a lot of them who thought that they might be on the list, waiting for the White House to confirm whether or not they had been invited. So there was some degree of anticipation that there would be a flurry of last-minute invitations, and that seems to be what happened. I've never seen, though, anybody picked up, I don't think, by Air Force One on a stopover in Alaska for refueling, as we saw with Jensen Huang. So clearly, Jensen making that last-ditch effort to get on Air Force One itself, to be in that arrival video, as we just saw with the president. The president is here on the ground in Beijing now. He's gone to his overnight. Remember, you know, we're 12 hours away from you guys, so it is late at night here. And we will see the sort of important ceremonial pieces of this all happen tomorrow. So the president's first handshake with Xi Jinping will happen tomorrow. What we saw tonight was just sort of a greeting at the airport so the president could step onto Chinese soil and then head right to his hotel for his overnight, guys.
I mean, market's excited about it, Eamon. So many research notes this morning cited the fact that Jensen Huang came as a late ad. NVIDIA's shares are up here in the pre-market. Any expectations about what sort of announcement? Obviously, with NVIDIA, it's the H200 chips and the whole complication there. But with all of these CEOs, and when it comes to deals, it's not like other countries, right, where the other countries like South Korea and Japan have announced massive investments in the United States and more cohesion between U.S. and their companies. It's more complicated with China, with the security angle.
It's a lot more complicated with the security angle. You know, from where I stand here, Sarah, this is just speculation on my part, but it does not feel like you should necessarily equate the invitation, the last-minute invitation and the last-minute arrival of Jensen Huang on this trip with something specific for NVIDIA that's going to be announced at the end of the week. We could be wrong. We haven't heard any footsteps of that in the preparations in the run-up to this trip. So maybe something has changed behind the scenes, but we haven't been given any sort of telegraph of anything like that. So it could just be a protocol thing and a last-minute invitation thing. We'll see, though. I mean, at the end of these trips, they do tend to announce the deliverables. And I know a lot of industries, particularly Boeing, you know, in the aircraft sector, the soybeans, folks are very much looking forward to an announcement. They hope to see, you know, millions of tons of soybeans added to the Chinese purchase list this week. So a lot of industries are looking for specific deliverables. We haven't heard anything about anything in particular for NVIDIA. That could always change. But if you're a market participant, I guess that invitation, that dramatic Alaska arrival gives you something to trade on.
Mm-hmm. Well, certainly when it is a $50 billion opportunity, in Jensen's terms, Street's going to pay some close attention to what might happen in the next 36 hours. Eamon, we'll talk soon. Eamon Javers in Beijing.